strike my side by accident as you go.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music. Today we're going to fulfill a request. And by a person named Nate, who I think you talked to Nate because he's the one who won the album riddles.
Yeah.
And
he comments a lot on our, and Twitter, which we appreciate, Nate.
And we appreciate every time anybody comments because that's what this is all about. It's all about VIMTV is all about talking about music and the music that you're into because we feel like that enhances the music listening experience and gets you into new stuff. And that's that's the reason why we're here. That's all we're here to do. And Nate requested after getting 2 of Tom's album riddles, which I actually gotta say, Tom, one of them was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen, Songs of Love and Hate. This album came out in the early 70s.
1971, I believe.
1971. You know a little bit about this album?
It was, I believe, his 3rd album. His first album came out in like 68. I want to say late 60s. I'm probably not exact on these guys, but that's the general range. So Leonard Cohen was in his like mid-30s when this came out, and he just kind of proved to be a good songwriter and just a good performer. He definitely creates a mood. Definitely. I'd say that's his strong suit. He wrote I can't think of what the word I'm looking for is, but just the ever-present song Alleluia, which I think is one of the best songs ever written, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Been covered by so many people, and even all the covers are good. You got John Cale, Jeff Buckley, all sorts of people. So this guy is an icon, and I think that the album cover, this is one of those where it really fits. It's just kind of the name of the album and then Leonard Cohen's face, and it's kind of dark.
I love that it's all black because I think it preps the listener for the mood.
Yes.
And actually why I wore this shirt.
Exactly. Yeah, because you get this and you kind of, I don't know if you did this, but when I imagine these songs being performed by Leonard Cohen, I imagine him with a glass of some alcoholic beverage in his hand in front of the microphone, kind of teetering, but he sounds kind of angry and kind of forlorn all the time, and he's kind of talking the lyrics and sometimes kind of singing them, somewhere on the fence there.
He's almost possessed by his lyrics at times, I feel
That's
like.
a great way to put it. He is very just enwrapped in, is that even a word? I don't know. Enraptured? Is that it?
Raptured?
I don't know. But he is in there, man. He is involved in what he's doing, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because it makes it believable. At the same time, I'll go ahead and I'll just get my complaints out of the way, all right? You've got, 8 tracks on this album, and here's the deal. A lot of them are just, to me, I thought they were longer than they needed to be. They don't really go a lot of different places. I would have liked this album if there were either more tracks to just bring in more different melodies and things, because the songs he kind of tends to just repeat the same melody over and over again. Either that, or because of the length of these tracks, if he just would have taken them somewhere a little different. And even the first 3 tracks were like my favorites. I just thought they worked well together in a row, but really they kind of sound similar, and within those tracks they just kind of do the same thing over and over again a lot, and that's my biggest complaint. But when it comes to creating a mood and setting a scene and very odd, vivid lyrics, he's got it.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, mood, obviously, this dark, cohesive mood that both sides of this album agree. This came out in 71. It was released on vinyl. It's 2 sides of 4 tracks, which I actually like. I think that it's a very cool way of releasing an album. I wish more artists did that. And even now. I think that's just a cool way of presenting ideas and divides the album up nicely. It's so dark and so cohesive in sound that it's really, I don't want to say fun to listen to because it's so dark, but it's almost comforting in how dark it is. You're listening to something that meant a lot to him just because he was able to pack enough emotion into it. The other thing that I really enjoyed about this album was just how original the sound is. The only real synergy or synergistic album I can compare this to would be Cass McCombs' Wit's End, which just came out.
I was totally going to say, you can so tell that people like Cass McCombs and Kurt Weill were influenced by this.
And Cass McCombs is the closest thing I can come up to. That just came out, and Kurt Weill just came out. And while these are new artists we're talking about, are influenced by a style that's been around for 40 years. And that's something that I feel is definitely applaudable for Leonard Cohen. It's something I have to respect about him. I think that just adds to the authenticity of the music, the originality and everything. It just makes it believable, and that's something that warrant that the listener has to have with the music. I think that connection has to be made between the person writing the music and the person listening to the music. I feel like he accomplishes that. Now, there's a couple things here that really, really bothered me, that just completely turned it off and killed it for me. And I'm sorry, Nate, because this is a pretty darn good album, and I know a lot of people like this album, and I'm just gonna kind of be a stick in the mud here, and I hope that everyone out can understand, because sometimes I think in all of the albums that are out there, every once in a while you'll just have one where something just bothers you about it and you can't get over it. I had two things here that did that. One was the vocal presentation. I felt like Leonard Cohen's vocals, he rarely emoted. Here he's just growling about these songs, and I feel like it's just kind of the same part over and over and over and over again in a song. But even throughout the songs, all these songs sound very similarly, and his delivery never really changes, with one exception, and that's in track 3 on side 2, "Sing Another Song, Boys," and it's the live track. And I feel like on that one, because he's live, probably wasted among other things, he's just going crazy. He's emoting, and it's his voice controls it, and I love it. I loved it when he did that. And that's what really, it was almost kind of a double-edged sword, because then he made me realize what he's capable of. And so I noticed that I wanted that on all the other tracks, and it just wasn't there, and it drove me nuts, and I just couldn't get past that. The other thing is, at least half these tracks are these slow finger-picked tracks in 3 that are kind of almost quasi-waltzes, but they're just these really nice acoustic guitar finger-picked tracks that are just, and that's the basis of the song, and it's just the same part, and I feel like they could have done so much more, and it just repeats over and over and over again, and it's just, there's nothing there. It's just one idea, and I'm looking for more ideas than just that, and that's, I just could not get over that. Other than that, he did a lot of work with, there's some decent production for that time period, with the strings being added in and the backing vocals. I do think that they could have done a little bit better meshing that together, because it kind of sounded like it was a little forced upon the song. You could tell that Leonard Cohen wrote these songs, or most of these songs, just, him and a guitar. I almost feel like it could have been kept that way and preserve the integrity. But I do feel like, at least the backing vocals definitely added something. Overall, I'm feeling a 66 on this. I feel like there's just the things I mentioned prevent me from really loving it. To putting it upwards of where I think a lot of people would put it, as at least a very good to very good album. So
I'm gonna give this a 76. I liked it, but I didn't think it was quite as incredible as I know a lot of people do. But.
Yeah, and there's definitely some things here that people could fall in love with. Yeah. I'm interested to see what you guys thought about that. If you've listened to Leonard Cohen in the past, what's your favorite Leonard Cohen album? And what did you think of Songs of Love and Hate, which is an interesting album title, kind of a fun trip down this crazy dark path if you want a little break from reality. So leave us a comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Follow us on Twitter and like us on YouTube, because that's where you can answer these guys' riddles. He puts them up every couple of weeks, and when you see this, there'll probably be some up the day you see this. So definitely check those out. That's about it. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
I hear that you're building your little house deep in the desert.